Hey guys, we're out here with the 2011 675R, the Daytona, and we're going to be talking about old tires. This has a set of BT 23 Bridgestone Battlax tires on it, and I checked the day codes on them. It looks like the rear's like 9 years old, and the front is like 8 years old, and there's tread on them still. They should be okay, right? Well, I've had this out in the first ride and stuff so far, and they are not fantastic because the rubber is getting old, right? So let's talk about old tires. We're going to be getting some new tires in these hopefully this week, if they're in, and then we'll do a look at that, what the differences between new tires, right? So let's talk about, should you ride your bike with old tires on? So listen to the exhaust and get out there. Started up here. It's not cold because we already had it running. Here's the Werkes Exhaust. Sounds pretty good for a slip-on, isn't it? It's not a full system, but she sounds good. And it looks pretty good too. Not a bad looking machine with those gold Olin Sports, right? Alright. See you out there. Talking about old tires. Got a little bit of the rain on the road here still because we had a big downpour earlier today, and then she's just drying up this evening. And this thing is a lot of fun for about 45 minutes, and I start getting sore. Got to work up my endurance a little bit, right? Alright, so the 8-some years old Bridgestone Battlax BT-03s, BT-023s in this bike. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, you just went and got yourself a nice used motorcycle, you got a good deal, maybe a little deferred maintenance, right? Needs an oil change, needs brake fluid flush, things like that. And it's also got them old tires on it. And you think to yourself, maybe I could do the rest of the season on these 8 to 10-year-old tires or something like that, and I'll be fine because there's enough tread, right? There's plenty of tread, and I don't want to waste them. I've said this to myself plenty of times in the past. Very common argument I think a lot of us make buying used motorcycles with, generally speaking, some deferred maintenance, older tires, things like that on them, right? So, what should you do? What's a frugal rider to do who doesn't want to waste some decent looking rubber? Well, it's a bit of a judgment call, but in my experience, now this is the second set of significantly old Bridgestones I've had on a bike. The other one was a set of sport touring Bridgestone Battlaxes. They might have even been 023s. I'm not sure if they're the exact same ones, but they were on the 01 Hayabusa, and those tires were like 10 years old. Plenty of meat left on them, but they're old. So that bike was really sketchy with those tires. They were worse. It was worse than this bike. This maybe being a lighter bike and such as well, and maybe these tires, maybe this bike wasn't stored outside, and you know, you don't have the sun and yeah, that bike wasn't stored outside either. But it was ridden back and forth to work, so it was sitting outside the guy's work too. So you know, you're exposed to a lot of sunlight and stuff to degrade the rubber. This was, as far as I know, kept inside more, so maybe the rubber hasn't degraded as much. Who knows what the variables are? But that bike was really sketchy with its old tires. It was bad. So you're trying to be frugal, right? But you're kind of sketched out because, like this bike too, I don't have complete confidence in these tires when I go to lean over in a corner. It feels a little sketchy. I got on the gas a little bit coming out of the corner, which I shouldn't. You shouldn't get on real early, but it slid out a little bit, not much, but you know, you lost some traction, got a little squirrely. I wasn't even on it that hard. Could have been the road surface too, so there's lots of variables, but it's just not in those corners, those exact same areas. when I'm on it on my newer Russell 3s on the street, there's no problem at all. And I have never seen the traction light come on either. It's not on it that hard. So that means that these tires are a bit hard. Man, this thing got some juice to it. So what's a frugal rider do? Well, your options are ride it out the rest of the year and deal with the slight sketchiness of the old tires, and hope you don't get caught in a bad rain if you're already compromised, or to get yourself a new set of tires. Well, then the dilemma is, do I put something reasonable on, look for something on clearance, maybe a set of Conti Sport Attacks, Conti Motions, those are real cheap, maybe a set of Road Smart 3s from Dunlop, something like that. Do I go that route, or do I go full boat and buy the Michelin Pilot Power, or the Michelin Road 5s or something like that, Road 6s, or, you know, Rosso Corsa 4s, some really nice sport tires. Then you're talking $500-600 for the set, depending on where you get them, plus the labor of installing them. Even if you pull your own tires, you save a little money, but assuming you don't have a Rabbit Honda or something, or some way to mount your own tires and balance them, you're having someone do it. So then you're probably in it for another $100 of labor, depending on where you're going. So, you know, once you get $50 an axle, let's say, at your local guy. So you're in it $500-600 for a really nice pair, and that's a pretty good deal. Or you can get one of those, the Conti Sport Attacks or something like that, and you can be in that for maybe $300, all told, $350. So what's a guy to do? Well, I think it depends what you're doing with them. If you're gonna ride like a beast and ride crazy, or you know, you're really aggressive, you're going to the track, you should pony it for a good set of tires. Now, if you're just gonna ride the streets, and maybe you're going to sell the bike soon, something like that, who knows, you're flipping it, right? I've had the Road Smart 3s and I've had the Sport Attacks on bikes, and you know what? They're fine. Like, they're not amazing. It's not like the Corsa 4s and the Street Trip right now, which are like really nice. I mean, those are really nice tires, don't get me wrong. But a set of let me move this lever out here a little bit. You're not going to, like, if you're just riding around the street and doing just, you know, having some fun and stuff, and you're not going 9/10 or something like that on the street, then I think you can get away perfectly fine. Oh, don't at me here, but I think you can get away perfectly fine with a set of Conti Sport Attacks. And what are you going to get out of them, though? 3,500 miles, something like that? So you're not going to probably get the mileage out of them that you get out of a set of Michelin Road 5s or something, and they're not going to be as good in the rain. So if you're going to be doing a lot of rain riding, you probably get yourself a set of Michelin Roads, in my opinion, because I've had those, and those are amazing in the rain, in the wet. I don't do a lot of wet riding, so for me, on this bike, I'm probably going to go with either the Road Smart 3s or the Conti Sport Attacks. For what this bike is for now, and if I go do a track day with it, I'm just going to be the novice group anyway. So I think that I will be perfectly fine with a set of Conti Sport Attacks. Save a little bit of money on this because I'm also going to be reselling this bike at some point, and I don't really want to be in $700 in tires on it because I already paid up for this. Because these 675 R bikes, the R bikes are kind of hard to find. So when you find one that's decent, got a good motor, then I paid up a bit, right? So, okay, so it depends on what you want to do. Now, my opinion is it's better to get newer, inexpensive tires than be riding around on 10-year-old, possibly compromised tires, right? These feel okay for just regular riding, but I would not want to push this bike on these tires. Just cruising around and stuff, it's fine, whatever. They're not weather cracked, you know. They're fine. They hold air. A little trick for you guys that I found out is that if you get an old set like this and you want to ride a little bit, this is probably shouldn't be telling everybody this because you should really get new tires. But if you can't afford them and you want to be a little bit safer, then you can air them down a little bit. And I've got like 32 in the rear of this and like 31 in the front. gives you a little bit, you can't, don't go too low, but it'll give yourself a little bit more confidence, a little bit more traction, bringing the tires down. Yeah, it's going to decrease the life, but you're not going to get long life out of your 10-year-old tires anyway, probably. So, go ahead and bring the air down a little bit, get yourself a little more traction that you need, and get yourself an extra couple weeks out of it or something while you're waiting on your new tires, which is what I'm doing. So I think the biggest con is probably, of course, possible loss of traction on the older set of tires. And if you're coming out of a corner and you're giving it a bit in the rear and the rear starts to slide out, you start to get sketched out, that's a bad situation. So there are definitely some cons to riding an older set of tires or running an older set of tires. Well, what are the pros? Well, the pros are you're saving money, right? So there's a bunch of tread left on the old tires, and you want to continue using them and use up the tread that you've got, or at least some of it. So the pro is being frugal, not wasting stuff, right, things like that. But I think for me, depending on the severity of how hard the tires are, of course, and the severity of how much lack of money you have, let's say, depending on where you're at in life and things like that, then I think for me, I think the pros of getting even a newer, inexpensive set of tires outweigh you know, the pros of keeping the old set on the bike to save money. But that's where I'm at in life, and everyone's in a different spot, so I don't want to be shaming people for riding around those tires. I just want people to be safe and be able to have fun out their machines and not take riding motorcycles is risky enough as it is, as we all know, and rather than taking the unnecessary risk of riding on old hard tires for extended periods of time, especially if you're doing aggressive riding, it's probably not worth the savings in the long run, I would say. So that's my conclusion after having had a bunch of different sets. Ooh, trashy corner here, be careful. After having had a bunch of different sets of tires replaced on a bunch of different bikes now, I would say that just get yourself something decent on your machine. And don't be riding around on 10, 15-year-old tires and for long periods of time being aggressive and really risking your life, because, you know, the rubber, the general knowledge is you should buy the best tires you can afford because it's the only thing touching the ground. You only got two little small contact patches, right? Now, modern tire technology has come a long ways. So there's some good bang for buck options out there, but if you're putting down big miles and you're doing, like, you know, you want something to last, you're gonna have to pay off. But you can get yourself a pair of Conti Sport Attacks. I put them on a BMW S1000R, single R. They were perfectly fine. They were fun to ride around on. They felt good. They were better than the old tires that were on there that were, whatever, 3, 4, 5 years old when I got the bike. So I would say that almost any new tire is an upgrade from something that's over 5 years old on your bike, 5 to 10-year-old tires. Even the cheap stuff, it's going to feel better, it's going to stick better, it's more compliant, right? And maybe, well, it will also benefit from the newer tire technology that's happened in the last 10 years since your old tires were made, right? Unless you buy like a throwback tire or something, which, you know, some of the cheap tires are throwback tires, so it just depends. Anyway, but there is that. And once again, your mileage may vary, everyone has different opinions, but you want to stay safe out here in the road. So I am going to replace these tires. The plan is, so far, unless I find another good bang for buck thing when I do some research tonight, I'm going to go with either Road Smart 3s or the Conti Sport Attacks, probably the Sport Attacks for this bike, because they both use a little more road bias tires, or mileage munchers. In this bike, I mean, some people will mileage munch on a 600, but that's not everybody, and that's not what I do. So I'd rather have have a sticky tire on this than have a big mile buncher tire. These tires actually are feeling okay tonight, funnily enough. Even though there's a little bit of trash on the road here and it just rained. Opinions about tires. What's your favorite set of tires? I should probably do a tier list of tires that I've had. I've had a bunch. My favorite sticky set of tires so far has been the Rosso 4s that I've had. And my favorite, like, as far as just road tires generally used even on the wet, the Michelin Road 5s are really good. Those are really good tires. My previous favorite was like the Q3 Pluses, but that was before I experienced the Diablo, the Corsa 4s. Those were those beat at least in my experience, those beat the confidence of the Q3 Pluses even. But also the Corsa 4s are on a street triple with, you know, it's the RS spec with the Öhlins rear suspension and the Showa front, so like it's really good suspension, and that plays into perception of how good the tire is too, or it can. As far as, you know, road feel and all that kind of stuff. This bike has an incredible road feel. When you brake and stuff, you just feel everything with this full Öhlins setup on the R bike. Alright, well, I think this video got a little bit longer than I intended. But if you enjoy this content, make sure you like and subscribe. And we'll be having more content with the 675R here, with the other street triple that I've got. We might be getting the planned next purchase. I'm not sure if it's going to happen this year or not. Will be a Bridgestone, I believe, of some kind. We're going to get another Triumph on the channel here. Hopefully a Bridgestone R or RS with the Öhlins suspension. They're pretty expensive, but they're pretty. If I can find one for a good deal, once we sell something else, we may look for one of those. I'm interested to see. I've ridden one Bridgestone before. I think it was an R. But I think it had the Öhlins piggyback shocks on the rear. But that bike was super fun. It was just a test ride at a dealership, and man, that thing was a blast. So I would love to own one. So I'm gonna look around and see if we can find one of those. All right, we will see you guys in the next one. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you later.